What's going on, YouTube world and YouTube tribe? Welcome back to LilBigMan Gaming, bringing you let me get that. Bringing you a review for, as I told y'all, and as you can see, Marvel's What If. And yeah, that's a long title. You see right there, that's a long title. Yeah, so a little bit of a backstory before we get into it. If you don't, for those who don't know what is Marvel's What If, it's more obviously it's more than just a Disney Plus show. Marvel's What If is based off of the famous What If comics and of the same name. You know, they basically was called Marvel's What If, and basically the what ifs refer to not just alternate timelines, not that such. It's like it's more so of what if a certain event happened differently. You know, how would that change that hero's life? You know, obviously, like in the first episode of What If is about Peggy Carter, and how it's basically, for the difference between the show and the comics is that the comics What If was based off of every comic book. So every comic book in Marvel's lineup had a What If story on it, or the majority of them did. And this one, the MCU version of What If, focused just solely on the movies version. The movies. You know, every movie that we got, the What If focus on that. So this is taking place like directly after Loki. So everything that happened after Loki. If you haven't seen Loki, go watch Loki. But to not to play spoilers, but I have to say this for the video. At the end of Loki caused the TVA. He changed the TVA to where, well, a version of Loki changed the TVA to where now the Marvel, you know, the Marvel version of the Infinite Multiverse took place. You know, it was branching timelines that created their own universe and their own separate history. So this, what we see in the Marvel's What If, is one of those branched timelines. And what if, and this what leads into the What If. And like I said, the What If for the MCU focus on the movies. So which brings us to the first episode of the What Ifs, the Disney Plus What Ifs episode show, which I guess is supposed to be an anthology, because I think they're going to shift with different stories. But anyway, the first episode is called What If Captain Carter Were the First Avenger. So the synopsis is: when Steve Rogers is seriously injured, Peggy Carter becomes the world's first super soldier. So in that sense, like the synopsis pretty much gave it to you. I didn't want to. I was hoping it didn't, but there wasn't a synopsis that didn't give you the surprise that, you know, Steve Rogers gets injured. So therefore, what I won't say is how he get injured, but yes, we're introduced to the narrator. Obviously, since this is the first episode, you know, we introduced to I said right off the bat, the one thing I did like was how we got the same Marvel Cinematic Universe presentation where they just showed all the different clips from the Marvel movies that phase into that showed that it was inside of the Marvel Studios logo. And but what they do differently with it is that at the end, once it comes into focus, that it says Marvel Studios, it looked like somebody airbrushed it. It looked like you get airbrushed or animated. Like it like somebody's redid the design at the end, and when it goes dun 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 dun, and then once it gets to that part, it's like the Marvel Studios logo turns into an animated version of itself. But basically, after that, we're introduced to the Watcher. He's basically the Watcher is the narrator, and if those who don't know, the Watcher, he was like in these what if stories, even in the comic book, the Watcher is like a central figure of the what if comic books. He's the person telling you the story. Like when you read the what if comics, you're reading it from the Watcher's perspective. He's the one telling you what happens in these different realities and how they happen. And the same applies here in the show. So he's basically explaining how infinite and how the universe is like a prism of infinite possibilities, and that him as the Watcher, he oversees these infinite possibilities, and he oversees the universe. But he swore a duty to not interfere. He could never interfere, no matter what he does. But though interestingly, even though he says that, there have been points in time, instances in the comic books where he has to get involved in some way that goes against him, goes against his code of not getting involved. Some of the stories, because some of the stories in the What If comic, well, not in the What If, but in the main comics, some of the villains directly got involved with him because he had some type of knowledge that they seek, and the Avengers or heroes end up having to help him stop the villain. And in order to stop him, he had to inadvertently get involved because he's involved in the story. So it's like, man, I didn't want to get involved, but I have to get involved because now I'm pretty much involved either way it goes. But he basically tells you that he has a promise to not get involved, and that to come with him, because you're going to hear this a lot. He going to say, come with me on this journey and ponder the question of what if. So we get, so he, for the little first parts of the episode, he does narrate at the beginning. He reiterates what we already know about Captain America, the first Avenger. He iterates the story about Steve Rogers, and he tells us, who Steve Rogers is, and we even get the animated version, recreated scene of him becoming the Captain America, the Winter Soldier. But then he rewinds it and says that's the reality we know. That's how we know it happened. But let's go back and see what if something different happened, and how that changes, how one little significant thing could change the history of so many people involved. So they sold you, like I said, they sold you Captain America and everything that happened in Captain America, the first Avenger, including him getting frozen and waking up back in the present day. But then they, like I said, when he rewinds it back when he first became Captain America, what he really did was he went back to a reality where, in this reality, Peggy Carter make a choice, and that choice alters the reality of Captain America, the first Avenger. I won't tell you what this choice is, because that's part of the fun of watching What If, to see what choice, which lets you know that I'm guessing is that every What If is going to have him. He's going to narrate and show you, because he showed you and narrated to you what the choice was that changed the history. And we get back to the scene. I will tell you, it happens in the scene where we see Steve get ready to become Captain America. There was a choice that Peggy made that was different from the movie. He also saw you the choice that he saw you the choice that she made in the movie, and then the new choice that she made that altered this reality. But there was a moment where Peggy could have did what she did in the movies, or she could have did something different. And when she made the choice to do something different, he was like, "That's it, right there. That's the choice that just changed everything." And it did, because of what she did. She inadvertently put herself into the mix of being being Captain Carter, because then a disaster struck. Steve gets injured, and now they running out of time because the machine is losing power. So they either do it now or they don't do it at all. And Steve can't do it because he's too injured. So they try to find different people who could take over. They wanted Howard Stark to do it, who is voiced again by Dominic Cooper, which if I diverge again for a moment, for what I could tell and what I could see, in every what if story that's going to be in this season, the majority of the MCU actors return. Even the late great Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. I didn't even know that Chadwick Boseman was able to voice T'Challa in the What If story for Black Panther. So it's cool to see him one last time be Black Panther. Be Black Panther is something new. You know, he was actually able to do this before, you know, passing on. So rest in peace to him. But yeah, everybody except for Steve. I think everybody except for Steve Rogers and the dude who played the Matrix dude who played the Red Skull. Obviously, we know he was recast because that wasn't him who played the Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame. But that dude who played him in Infinity War and Endgame returns as the Red Skull in this, and I think he and the dude who voiced Steve Rogers, the only two people who had to be replaced. They're the only two people who was not part of the MCU that was voicing MCU characters. But yeah, everybody's here. So I mention this because this is going to go into my evaluation of the show. But yeah, so Peggy makes a decision, you know, because everybody's injured. Steve is injured. Nobody is willing to get in there. She jumps in there herself, and she becomes the super soldier, thus becoming Captain Carter. I thought it was supposed to be like Captain Britain, but I guess it was Captain Carter. I guess it makes more sense. But she still deals with sexist, like just like in the first movie, she still deals with sexist innuendos, because back then, you know, man was thinking, you know, they themselves superior to women. So you have Carter basically still bear, even with the super soldier serum, she still bear the brunt of everything. And she's basically, like you see in the trailer, once she comes out of the machine, she's basically buff and big. Like she got taller than what she was. She's buff. She almost akin to almost being like She-Hulk. She just needs a little bit more muscle mass, a little bit more height, and she would have been like She-Hulk. But yeah, and they had a costume made up for her and everything. Unlike Steve Rogers though, she don't have a helmet. So she full identity blown out there, just fighting a good fight. We see that because of this alteration in history, Peggy Carter, some of the events in Captain America, the first Avenger, some of the events that happened in that movie happened different, like Steve Rogers becoming the Hydra Stomper, certain people, someone not having the accident that he should have. If you've seen the Captain America First Avenger or any of the Captain America movies, you know who I'm talking about here. We see certain events play out differently because obviously it's Peggy instead of Steve doing them. You know, we see how, you know, instead of Steve, it was Peggy who saved Dum-Dum and Bucky. I almost forgot Bucky's name. But yeah, we see that. We see thanks to them finding getting their hands on the Tesseract first, Howard ended up building the first what will be known now as the first Iron Man armor. You know, we get to see all these different alterations, and watching them play out it was just amazing. Watching how all this stuff play out, they did an excellent job. Just in the 30 minutes that you have to watch this episode, you know, albeit fast as hell, but you pretty much just rewatch the Captain America, the First Avenger, but with Peggy Carter as the main character. But you still get to see the love story between Steve and Peggy play out as we see that Peggy falling in love with Steve had nothing to do with him becoming a super soldier or getting buff and tall. It so that she was more attracted to his heart and character than anything, because she still fell, even with her being the super soldier, she still fell in love with him. Peggy had some great moments fighting the Nazis. Albeit there was like one scene that was really funny to me, where she crashes into a plane and she beats the people up in the plane. She like There's two dudes in the cockpit, and she crashes in there. She smacks one dude like one time, and I think he like flies out the plane, and the other dude, he's sitting there like, oh my god, what? And she just turns to him, and she commenced to beating the hell out of him. I'm like, why did you hit him once, but you beat him like holy hell? Like, why did you beat him with the shield so many times? Like, she just turned to him and said, I'm like, look, that's all be realistic. If that shield was real and you hit me with it, you only gotta hit me one time. One time, two at most, and I'm done. She beat the hell out of that guy. If you watch the episode, you will see what I mean. He just looking, he was shocked. He just like, huh. And she just like, she just looked at him and just said, swat, 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 swat. I'm like, I think that was a successful thing. He was done after the first hit. Because you wasn't punching him with your fist. You was punching him with the shield. And I'm pretty sure that shield took him out quickly. But, yeah, so it's a lot of great scenes, a lot of action. It's just, like I said, it's the recreation. And we do get the final scene. We do get to see her make it to the future. But how she gets to the future, just because, like I said, this is an alter. That one little decision she made alter everything, even how she gets to the future. But the roles are reversed. Steve is now the one left in the past, while Peggy goes to the future, and this is where we meet Hawkeye in a unique way. And the way we meet them is a recreation of a scene from the first Avengers movie. Not Captain America, the first Avenger, but the actual first Avengers, Marvel's The Avengers. The scene is a scene that they recreated from that movie, where how we end up meeting Peggy Carter in the future, and and Samuel Jackson, who voices Nick Fury, he get to say an alteration of a line he said to Loki to her, and he was like. Then he continues to say the line he would have said to Steve Rogers to her, and he said, "Are you going to be okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." She said, "We won the war," but she's really sad that she's 70 years into the future, and now she has no possibility of being with Steve Rogers, because she remembers that she gave him a promise to be on the date, and they couldn't go on that date now because she's in the future. So what it looks like for me, when I see the previews of the next episode, it looks like this What If is building towards a What If Avengers. Everybody's lives is now going to be different, and we're going to see how. Cause I think this is not the last time you're going to see a Captain Carter. We're going to see her interacting with the other Marvel superheroes. But overall, for this 30-minute episode of the first What If Captain Carter became the first Avenger, I would say I would give this. I'd give us a 9, just because it was a decent first episode to introduce us to What If. If anything, it felt just because it was rushed, because it was only a 30-minute episode, is the reason why I gave it a 9 instead of a 10. Because I enjoyed everything. Like, I understand that some of these people are not voice actors, so some of the voice actors going to be horrible. That doesn't bother me. The episode was decent. Everything was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was just the only thing was it was just for 30 minutes. We had 30 minutes to retell the whole movie of Captain America: The Winter. I'm about to say Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: The First Avenger, and we only had 30 minutes to retell it with Peggy Carter as the main character. But other than that, it's enjoyable. Like I said, the only thing I had to say about it was it was too quick. I would prefer that at least we had like an hour so we could see certain scenes play out just a little bit longer than they did. But if you enjoy stuff like this, if you enjoyed the Disney Plus shows, I would recommend you get over to Disney Plus right now. Go ahead. Give me a thumbs up, hit that like button, subscribe button if you didn't already, and Get over to Disney Plus, yeah. Because if you enjoyed this video, hit that button right there in the upper right corner for all of my reviews. Like I said, if you enjoyed the video so much, you want to support the channel, do what I just said, and hit the like, subscribe, and turn that notification button. Do all those great things, and hit any one of these videos for more of my amazing content. Get out of here. Go watch Agent. Go watch Marvel's What If. Go watch Loki. Go watch all that good stuff, because this is a good show, and I recommend that you watch it. And peace out.